Welcome back to another video from Garbage Chute Droids. For today's artist spotlight, I have a special guest, Guy Holzer, on the line. So welcome, Guy.
Thank you, Adam.
So funny, Guy and I actually met in a very funny way. I was selling my Garbage Chute Droids cards, one of the few places you could actually go, actually probably the only place you can physically go to buy a pack, is my local comic book store. Shout out to Fat Moose Comics and Games. So I put actually I don't even think they have the end games anymore. It's really just Fat Moose Comics. But I gave the owner a couple of my packs, and he kind of put them up, and he made a little YouTube video about them. Said, hey, go buy these. And then I get a message from Guy saying, hey, do you have any of those available? I saw Sean put up those on the video. So sent you a couple of packs, and you really like them, and we kind of were chatting a little bit here and there. And then one day you sent me a sketch that you did. So I don't know if you want to just talk a little bit about that, because that really started the whole ball rolling with, I think, you getting back into art we've been talking about as well. But
just like you said, I really kind of got interested in the design that you were promoting. I've always been a collector of cards, primarily comics. I used to collect cards quite a bit, baseball, and but Garbage Pail Kids was a big thing. And then but in later years I kind of got out of that and into comic books and things like that. But when I saw Sean's post for Garbage Chute Droids packs and stuff like that, I guess I inquired with him, and you may have overseen that exchange, and you sent me a link or whatever, and so I began this process as a customer, and basically just fell in love with the product. From the get-go, I've been very honest about all the way down to from the designs to the packaging and stuff like that. It's all done very, very well. And I just and something sort of clicked with me. I do have a favorite Star Wars droid from way back, which is the 21B Medical Droid, and basically something, I used to be much more into art than I honestly, I joked with Adam that I hadn't picked up a pencil and put pencil to paper in probably a decade before I did this, and something sort of happened, and basically I drew a concept. I mashed my 21B with I believe it's a third series Garbage Pail Kid called Stone Sean, and sent it to him, just saying, hey, look at what your work inspired. And basically you responded right back to me, hey, would you like to slap that on a sketch card? And I was honest with you pretty quickly that sketch card was not even a thing that I was aware of. It didn't. I've been out of the card collecting thing, and obviously card collecting is a big thing right now.
Yeah.
I've heard more so with the pandemic and all that kind of stuff, that people, staying in and digging deep into their closets and finding fun things to do. But you asked if I wanted to do that as a sketch thing, and okay, I don't know what the heck you're talking about, but sure, try that. And you sent me a couple of blanks and stuff like that, and I've been hooked ever since, really. And I've produced and sent to you probably 30 or so sketch cards,
probably somewhere in that range, I think. Yeah,
and almost to the point, I think, where you were kind of like, all right, I got enough of those, but because you can only distribute so many. It's not the Guy Holzer's art show kind of thing. So you're still pushing your own brand and product and stuff like that. And so I'm just happy to be involved with it, really.
Yeah, and it was great. Like you said, you kind of just showed me this picture. I'm like, I need sketch cards from you. This was great. And because again, I'm not, it's not like Tops where they have this list of here's our official sketch cards artists. I will take an artist from anywhere. I mean, if you can put great stuff out there, I don't care if it's the first time you've ever drawn before. Like, I just love great art, and so it was pretty cool. You did that, and then you had this very unique pencil style. Like, a lot of people use, paint or markers. It was very clear, kind of, you had this pencil look to it, and that 2-1B one we actually made, as I know I've talked about in other videos, we have our reproduction sketch cards, right? So that was one like I have to use, right? And this right here is that design.
Mm-hmm.
And I just thought it was such a cool, unique, perfect mashup too of the two characters. So yeah, you've definitely done a bunch, and you've been having fun with some of the sketch cards too. You started just doing pure recreations of my cards as just in your style, but it's kind of really good, I mean, great reproductions. And then you started having fun. You did some mashups of like, hey, let's put, IG-88, the assassin droid, but with the head explosion, or let's have, right,
Yep.
Him as the, Anthony Dangle's character. And I know you started having fun, and, this was one that you sent me. And this is, again, the great thing about my job is I get to keep a couple of them, the ones I really like.
Yeah.
So, as much as I love Adam Bomb, as I've talked about, I also love Adam Boom. And that one was just that perfect kind of little mashup. So I know he holds a special place in my heart. So I've kind of held on to this one as well.
Yeah, I sent you that one to butter you up. I thought that was no better way than to wheedle my way into your heart than send you an Adam Boom type mashup. But yeah, it's funny that you say that about my style and stuff. I do remember very early on in the process putting out a couple of those ones, like you said, that were much more like just a simple recreation of your cards. And you really, and I was pleased with them because I thought they came out really pretty well. But you kind of pushed me to, you said, yeah, these are great. I love them, but you wanted to see a little bit something different. And I wouldn't say I was insulted, but at first I was kind of like, okay, because you were like, yeah, I'd love to see you do, what else you can do, kind of thing. And I was like, and I was like, well, I'll show him. And I haven't gone back to the standard. I kind of touch back into the standard, but I'm a big fan of just kind of taking things out of left field and really playing with things or swapping characters and stuff like that. So the idea of mashups and stuff like that has been a lot of fun for me to explore. I mean, it's gotten me looking at my old collection of cards and really just been like, oh, who could I put in here and stuff and make that work, the colors work and stuff like that. So it's been such a fun series just to be a part of and contribute to, really.
Yeah, and then just to show off a couple other pieces of your art, right? Because then, as talk about mashups and pushing it, you then decided to also have some fun, right, with some mashups of mashups, right? So then talk about the Adam Boom one, right? Here's that one example of the Assassin Droid as Bad Motivator, but the Boom version.
Yep.
And then you even went ahead and said, hey, let's do some minis, which I thought this was a super impressive, because kind of minis are the big rage right now too. So how you were able to take, sorry, the video here, but yeah, kind of on one card put in all four of our, first things, I thought was pretty cool. But talking about left field, I thought it was actually a perfect metaphor, right? Because you're actually one of, I think, just 2 or 3 of the artists who were part of the reproduction set for both Series 1 of my reproduction and Series 2, and I just dropped the card. So give me a second to go pick them up. But with your love of 2-1B, talking about left field, right? This was another one of yours, which I thought was such a cool mashup. And right, this was one where I know you had kind of an initial design that you weren't too happy with, and I don't know if you want to just talk a little bit about the history of this design.
Yeah, it is a funny design, and perhaps I can send you the original if you felt like posting it. But basically, the 2-1B, I think I was such a fan of 2-1B because Star Wars figure, and it was I will admit it was my brother who was the big Star Wars figure fan, um, but I had 21B, and that the figure itself actually used to kind of creep me out because if you removed its voice modulator or whatever it
Yeah.
is, it had this, very squared, open mouth, maw or whatever, and it just it kind of creeped me out, but I liked it, in a way. So um, when I initially did that design, the garbage pail kid that it's sort of mashing with is Screwball Lou, who is a baseball player throwing his own head, and he's got an open mouth. So I drew it sort of with that open mouth, but something about it didn't play quite right, or it wasn't identifiable. Maybe not everybody has seen that figure with its voice modulator removed. But I didn't even do it on a sketch card. It was done on a much larger scale. But I liked it, but I didn't. I wasn't in love with it. So I tweaked it, played around with it, put the voice modulator back because that's, to me, one of the most identifiable features on that guy. So and then I played around with it even more, made it a night game, stuff like that. But I just love, it's the hardest thing for me as far as these pieces is when do you stop and who and figure out who the jokes are for, because a lot of the times they're just for me. Some people won't get it. Some people, like that Adam Boom, um, uh, bad motivator
Yeah.
one that I sent you. I had to point out to you later that there was, an I love NJ sticker
Right.
on his foot. And so I'm also from New Jersey. There it is. Knowing that Adam is also from New Jersey and stuff like that. But that's not just for show. I do love New Jersey. I miss New Jersey. I'm up in Connecticut now, and have been for over 20 years. But I still get back home. I still go to Fat Moose from time to time. Whenever I can. It's changed hands and changed locations a number of times since it was in the Morris County Mall, but and was Fat Moose Comics and Games. But yeah, I just love all the stuff that goes with it.
Yeah, it's funny talking about just when things done, because you should have see these conversations Brent and I have of just when are things done. We just kind of go back and forth, and at some point you just have to say it's good enough. Like, I would spend another 6 weeks or 6 months kind of just tweaking little things here or there, and it's like nobody's gonna care. It's amazing as is. Just let
Right.
it go.
Yeah, you've
Um,
you've kind of let me in on that process at near the very end. You're like, what do you think about this versus this? I'm like, I can't really tell the difference. Now, if it was my art versus Brent's art, you might feel a little bit differently, but I've exactly like what you said, just been like, nobody's gonna care, man. It's this one's great, that one's great, and but no, I understand being that way about, this is your product, this is your baby, and stuff. You may not be the physical artist that's putting the piece out, but this is your little passion project. So I get it totally.
Yep, and again, you mentioned you're kind of getting involved in a little bit of the process with Brent and myself, and there's a big reason for that, actually, right? It's for my first four characters, all four designs were mine. Like, I came up with the idea, talked with Brent, we kind of worked through some things, and then what I've learned was, right, yeah, obviously there's a couple of really big characters in Garbage Pail Kids. Nasty Nick being one of them. Like, I need to come up with a good design for Nasty Nick, so I put it out to all of the sketch artists that provide sketches. Like, come up with a great design. I need help. I can't figure out what droid to use, and that's when you stepped up to the plate, continuing with the baseball metaphors here, and came up with this amazing General Grievous concept art used, for Nasty Nick. It is the vampire, and it was like, not really a droid, but you know what? Close enough for for what I want here. And I know kind of, so Brent and I ran with it, and obviously we made a couple of tweaks and changes to the design, but using your design was one of those kind of the first time on any card that we've had that doesn't say concept and design by Adam Marks and for art by Brent Scotchmore. It just says, I think, like concept and art by Guy Holzer. So, we use that, and that's kind of part of our newest set now. So I know you were involved, and I was kind of showing you all the different ways we could tweak it. What about this? What about that? And that was really cool to kind of get you involved and just come up with a different approach, because I love the way that final card came out.
Yeah, no, I think Brent or you and Brent did a fantastic job with it. And I really am glad that it went that extra mile, because I don't know if you recall when you reached out to the artists and stuff like that, you were not immediately sold on the concept. Do you remember that? That basically I sent it, and it was, it's something about I don't know, but I was like, you know what? Give me a day. I'm going to draw this for you, and if you can't, and I'm going to put in enough time and effort, and if you can't see it after that, then okay, that's okay. And you didn't have to buy into it and stuff like that. I'm glad that you did. I'm honored that you chose it and moved forward with it. But yeah, I just remember when I was just like, I think this is a great idea. Damn it, I want to sell him on this idea. Not just because I wanted you to give me credit on the card and stuff like that. For some reason, when you said Nasty Nick, I was like, I think I know it would be perfect for that, and I'd love to see a Nasty Nick in the series. So I was like, but there were some other good ideas, concepts came to you too. So I thought I was going to have to battle it out with a little bit, but no, and you and Brent did fantastic job, taking it and finishing it. It looks great. I can't wait to see mine physically, Adam.
Yep, I know. I'm going to package a whole bunch of stuff up for you and hopefully get all that out for you in the next few days. So, but yeah. So otherwise, I mean, again, we kind of jumped right in here, talked about kind of just how we got involved right away with Garbage Chute Droids. What about you? I mean, what's a little background about yourself? Have you always been into art? Have you, been trained professionally? Is it just kind of more of a hobby? Just tell me a little bit about yourself.
Well, yeah, like I kind of mentioned that basically art. I've always been interested in art and always had sort of a natural talent for it that was clear at a young age, and that basically I just, and again, comics was more my thing. I was into Garbage Pail Kids, but I don't think I ever sketched a single Garbage Pail Kid when I was young for whatever reason, I don't know. But a friend of mine and I used to we would buy, we were big into Wolverine and X-Men and stuff like that. And when I was young, those were the big comics, and really, exciting. Wolverine was a little bit different than some of the softer superheroes and stuff. Like, he killed people, and it was kind of dark and kind of cool. A great character to draw, and I can think of times that my buddy and I would just buy comic books and stuff, and that's why I've been a collector forever, but none of my stuff is in super mint condition, because I used to mash the comics down to keep them flat so I could draw them. My Wolverine Volume 2 #1 and stuff like that, it's completely flattened, spines all busted, and stuff, but it's just like I still have it from when I was a little kid. And and then when I went to college, I did minor in fine art, but I was not invested in it really. I was at the different media beyond literally pencil and paper didn't interest me much. I didn't think that I had any gift there. Sculpture didn't really interest me, and stuff like that. I mean, visually I like them, but just doing it myself was never that interesting to me. And that's all the classes that I took were figure painting and sculpture and stuff like that. And I was really not interested. And then, so just here and there, I had done a couple of pieces. My wife and I had been together since we were in college. And I used to draw a picture for her every year for our anniversary, and I would frame it and stuff like that. And they were, all over the place, just some pretty goofy things. But after the first 5 or 6 years or something like that, even that kind of went by the wayside and stuff. And I really just totally got away from it, and just didn't have any desire to do it. And some people, it seemed like, oh, it's kind of wasted talent or whatever. But I was like, no, that's not what I want to do, or I'm not interested in it. Sorry, but I just don't want to do it. And then, like I said, I literally, I can't go 2 days without drawing something now. It's and you and I have been hooked up for the better part of a year, I guess, at this point. But
it hasn't even been that. It's probably only been since like September.
Yep.
So it's only been like 7 months or something like that, which is unbelievable.
And so it's like my mind is constantly coming up with, and so I've because I loaded you up so heavily with sketch cards. I've kind of branched out into a couple of different avenues and different groups that there's this OS1 challenge where a GPK art Facebook page where they weekly they come up with one of the designs from original series 1 for you to do and stuff like that, and that's kept me interested, and I'm slowly but surely trying to get into the commission work, sketch cards almost exclusively, but I'm not really pushing to do that either. I'm just really kind of having fun with it. I've gotten myself involved in a couple of different series, only one of which is actually dropped. The other ones are designs for future series.
And that was the Punch Drunk Bums one, right?
Yep. And that was, again, so I've, social media was not something that I was involved in. As you remember, I wasn't even on Instagram initially, and Facebook, I, had 6 friends or something, my wife and my brother and my mother and whoever, it wasn't a whole lot of people. But I've really, I got hooked up with Punch Drunk Bums because somebody made a Garbage Pail Kids group post and said, hey, anybody interested in doing, I'm waiting on a couple of artist sketches. Anyone want to take a crack at it? And I contacted the guy, and I ended up doing 2. I think I did 2 over the course of a weekend. And he was pleased with the pieces and stuff like that. And I've reached out to a couple other guys who are doing card series and offered up my services, kind of thing, just to do it and just get experience, a little bit of exposure and stuff like that. But again, it's not trying to put food on the table. This is not my primary work by any stretch of the imagination. It's what I'm enjoying the most in my life right now, but other than my daughter and 4 cats, but yeah, it's been a trip.
Yep. Yeah, it's actually, speaking of Punch Drunk Bums, I mean, with Zach, that's actually, I know, and for those who don't know, that's a Rocky Garbage Pail Kid kind of mashup idea. And, I bought a set of his, and actually he gave me an extra set. So, randomly inserted into pretty much all my orders, you can get a free Punch Drunk Bum card, or Nick Mugley, who I talked to previously on one of these spotlights, he did an Ewok set. You can get one of those cards, or Insulting Infants was another kind of another group another set out there, which just kind of some of these things are just randomly inserted into all of the orders that we're shipping out. But yeah, it's been definitely kind of fun, and I'm the same way. I mean, it's the amount of time I spent on Garbage Chute Droids for what I bring in from a financial perspective, definitely they are not balanced at all. But it's just fun. It's kind of I'm enjoying doing it. I think my wife would rather me spend a hell of a lot less time on the garbage chute droids and more, cleaning up the house and doing other things around the house. But I hear it. It's just fun. And it's funny. I just want to go back a couple seconds. You mentioned, you have a daughter. Garbage Chute Droids actually is a bit of a family affair for you as well. It's I had put out, I've done now 2 art contests. The first one exclusively for kids, the second one for all ages. But your daughter was one of the winners and has a card in series 2, which is an Art Apart C3PO. So she did that. So it is a family affair for the Holzer family, right?
Yeah, and that was, if you remember, I guess that was a sketch card design that I had created for you some time ago, and it was totally unsolicited that my daughter picked that, picked one of my designs to do, kind of thing. I guess she always kind of liked it, but we were about 24 hours before your deadline, and I was like, well, I'm not going to keep pushing her. Like she said she wants to do it, but every time I was like, hey, you want to sit down and sketch? And she was just like, no. And then all of a sudden she brought this thing down to me, and I was like, oh, well, that's very cute. And I think it came out pretty well. So yeah, she was pretty excited on the win there. She the mention. She went for, she applied, or she entered the first contest as well. But yeah, she's pretty excited.
Yep, and that's part of the package. So for those who don't know, the winners of the contest get their card created incentive. So actually, I have a whole bunch of these to send over to Avery, which with part of the pack of cards that I owe you as well. Quite a bit package that I owe you.
So get them out to the paying customers first. I can wait.
Pretty much my my plan, actually. So a couple of questions. I know your time is you have to get going pretty soon. So a couple of questions I thought was fun when I was talking to Nick, which I'll ask you the same question. And I think I know the answer, but I'm not sure. You could only choose one: Garbage Pail Kids or Star Wars, and the other one disappears forever. You never even knew it existed. Which one would you choose?
I would choose Garbage Pail Kids.
I thought that was going to be your answer.
No, that's the funny thing. I've always tried to keep quiet. I've hinted to it to you a little bit, but I didn't want to be ostracized from the groups or anything. I'm actually not a huge Star Wars fan. Or it's not that I'm not a fan. It's just I haven't seen a lot of the material. I saw, the episodes 4, 5, and 6. And I'd seen one, but beyond that, I hadn't really seen much. Again, my brother was a huge Star Wars fan. Still has all the toys and stuff like that he had as a kid and whatever. But and I used to have some so I could hang out and play with them, because otherwise I wasn't welcome to play with them. But yeah, so I think, and he would say the same thing about Garbage Pail Kids. He'd say Garbage Pail Kids could go. He had never had a single card, but that's the way I feel about it.
Well, and if he ever wants to sell those toys of his, I'm just around the corner from him. More than welcome to take them off his hands.
That's true. That's true.
So then, talking about Garbage Pail Kids, what is your favorite Garbage Pail Kid, both to collect as well as to draw? And what is your least favorite one that you draw? If someone asks you to do a commission of this character, and you're like, oh, I hate drawing this one. So best and worst.
All right. Well, I think my favorite characters are Electric Bill from OS1, number 4.
I see he's right over your shoulder there. Actually, you can see in the background.
Oh, okay. And I'm also a big fan of Mad Max from and Brainy Brian from OS2. Those are my favorite characters. I don't know if I have. I honestly haven't done enough that I have a favorite one to draw. But I will admit that it's easy for me to identify the ones that I don't like to draw are the ones that are vomiting and snotting and stuff like that. I don't.
So not a
I
Leaky Lindsay fan, huh?
not a Leaky Lindsay fan or an Upchuck fan and stuff like that. In fact, I was religiously doing that OS1 challenge, and then Upchuck came up #3, and I just I was kind of like, I don't want to do this one. I don't have a cool idea, and I just not. And then I literally I've almost, I've gotten busy doing some other things, but I've kind of drifted away. Maybe touched back in and did another design, but something about them. It's just doing drawing some of the nuances of liquid and stuff like that, as gross as it is. It's difficult for me to do, and it was a little queasy. So, but yeah, those are the ones. I don't mind bloody and teeth flying and exploding limbs and all that kind of stuff, but keep the vomit away from me. I'll do it, but it's kind of like, okay.
Yeah. What about on the Star Wars side? I know you said 2-1-B is your favorite droid, but is that your favorite character? I know you draw him quite a bit, but favorite character to draw, least favorite to draw, whether it's through the Garbage Chute Droid side of it or just pure Star Wars, what would you say?
Yeah, I don't. I've never actually drawn any Star Wars figure. Uh, the jackals are here, but that's.
Ah,
I've never drawn any related stuff outside of the series. So, and I had to become somewhat with the droids that were available to me. Yes, that's how not familiar with some of the stuff I am. But I enjoy drawing. I think Nick Mugley said something along the lines of like some of the rigid shapes or something like. I can't quite remember one who said mentioned that, but that's what I like about drawing the droids is that I actually prefer that to drawing humans. I can draw and their features and stuff. If you're going to exaggerate the Garbage Pail Kids, I'm better at that. I'm not really all that formally trained in art, so I kind of I stick with what I know, and I'm trying to get a little bit more adventurous in pushing myself to try different things. I'm really getting into different media kind of thing. I'm almost exclusively a colored pencil, just black and white pencil or colored pencil artist and stuff like that. But I, venture into markers and eventually paint and stuff like that. But yeah, and I'm not going to put too far because I'm taking my time and I'm really enjoying what I'm doing. So
nice. Yeah, and I know you definitely ventured beyond just the uh, pencil drawing for the sketches as well, and moved on to some markers and another medium. I know for the Garbage Chute Droids.
yeah, the pencil and paper colored now too is sort of safe there. I know my abilities and stuff like that. I push myself a little bit, but I'm fearful of the pen and ink and stuff. But I have pushed myself to dabble, and and I haven't embarrassed myself yet either. So it's just right now I've got my plate full is good with pencil, so I'm going to keep it a while
as well. But anything else that you want to just plug that you've been involved with? I know you're on Instagram. How do people get in touch with you if you want to do any kind of commissions or what you're available for? If you just want
to. Yeah, I guess I mean I'm not as hidden as some of the artists out there, and my name is my whatever it is username for Instagram and Facebook is just Guy Holzer. So pretty easy to find there. And yeah, I mean, I'm open to the idea of doing commissions. I have my own personal stock of sketch cards, and I also have return sketch cards both for right now. I have them for Punch Drunk Bums and for Garbage Chute Droids. I'm interested in talking to anybody and find out if there's something that I can. I like people to look at my work. Instagram is pretty much all of my stuff that I've produced, with the exception of the few holding back for future releases. But my style is definitely it's kind of my own, and it's different a little bit. So it's kind of like, hopefully somebody's going to see it and be like, oh, that would be a cool way of doing, this character and stuff like that. Because if you said you wanted it done straight up, I can do that as well, and I can do that pretty easily. But I almost always like to find a way to take that character and put him in a different, similar scenario, but change things up and stuff like that. So but I would do whatever it was that and stuff. I'm not trying to knock anyone's hat off.
Yeah, and like I said, I mean, that's what I've loved. And once I saw your style, like how different it was from everybody's, even though you were just doing those pure recreations of the original art, the whole pencil style of it was just totally different than anything else that we had seen before. I'm like, I need this, I need these on my, as part of the set. So I guess it's only been 7 or 8 months or whatever. And it's been kind of, I can't believe it. I look back, it's only been, not even been a year and a half for the whole Garbage Chute Droids, but we've both of us, I think, have come a long way in a very short period of time. And I do need more sketches of yours, because I think we had like 14 or 15 of them in this most recent set. I only have, I think, 2 or 3 of yours left. So I think I need to send you some more blanks because I need more.
I do have a couple ideas going around up in here and stuff like that for you. I've been keeping them for you. Like I said, I thought you were pretty good for the next couple of years. I thought I'd set you up with enough that I was like, oh, I'm not going to bother him with anything more. But yeah, I can. In a week or two, I should. I'd be a little caught up and stuff like that. I'd love to start producing a couple more for you.
Perfect. I won't need them until like August or so. So you've got some time.
Excellent.
All right. Well, thank you, Guy. I was going to call you Gary at some point. That was a little inside joke between the two of us, because when that first cell sheet I did, and I wrote Gary Holzer, and you're like, who's this Gary guy? But I went through the whole interview. I wasn't going to do it, and then in the end, I decided to throw that in there anyway. But Guy, thank you so much.
Absolutely. No, I enjoyed it. I wanted to point out that there are there's one other person who does refer to me as Gary. They thought that was the funniest thing. I'd kind of let them in on the joke. So she sent me a screen capture on her phone, and she has me as Gary. I was like, we've never spoken on the phone, but she screen captured something and sent it to me, and I was like, you had me in your phone as Gary? And she was like, yeah. I'm like, okay. It's a fun group of people. Like Garbage Pail Kid fans in general, I think are just they're my kind of people, and I'm glad to have hooked up. It's like I'm not the most mature 43-year-old out there, and stuff like that. And it's reassuring to find that there are other people who are just as immature, But they're just having fun and stuff like that. As long as it's all in, it's all good. I enjoy it.
Well, I think that is the perfect sentiment to end the interview on. So, Guy, thank you very much for your time on this Sunday. And
Absolutely.
I need more sketches.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Adam.
Thank you very much.
All right. Take care.
Bye.
Bye-bye.